a flashing light up.
Did you have any trouble finding the place?
No, absolutely not.
You've been here before?
Yeah, no, I've never been here before. I haven't had any insurance problems.
Have you ever had to come to West Corzine? Never?
No,
oh
never.
my God.
Never. East Corzine I was at.
Oh, East Corzine.
Because I grew up in
What about
Connecticut.
Northwest Corzine?
Never.
All right, guys, welcome to the heart of the matter. Today, we're going to talk about illegal search and seizure. Have you ever been stopped on the side of the road and a cop walks up to the window of your car and asks to search your vehicle without probable cause? If you have, we're lucky because we have one of the top criminal defense attorneys in the nation, David S. KESTENBAUM of KESTENBAUM Law Group, here today in our Heart of the Matter studios. I really appreciate you coming in.
Thanks, Ian.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure to be here.
Can we get a little shaker?
Yeah,
shaker.
A little skin to skin.
Of course, I'm Ian Corzine, and this is the Heart of the Matter. This is the place where we talk about law and try to make it accessible, try to make it understandable for you guys so the law works for you. Thank you for joining us today. Before we get into illegal search and seizure, which is a really, really good discussion today, I want to talk about your background.
All right.
Did you always want to be a criminal defense attorney?
Absolutely. I grew
Really?
up. I grew up watching Perry Mason, and I just loved. He always had the underdog, and he always got the other guy to admit that he did it on the stand.
Wow.
So from the time I was like 12 or 13.
That's amazing.
That's really what I wanted to do.
I've heard of that show, but I guess it's an old show, so I wouldn't really understand.
No, it's still available on TV Land.
All right, so we got a comment. Let's just make sure we're... Hi, Katerina. How are you? It says, hi, Ian. Such an interesting topic. I don't think this happens in Canada, but very interesting anyway. You don't have police in Canada, Katerina? I'm sure you do.
They do, and actually the effect of any arrest in the United States affects a lot of people trying to get into our neighbors to the north.
That's very true.
You get a DUI, you're excluded from Canada for a period of time. Even though you guys wake up to a six-pack of Molson's, you don't like our DUIs coming up
Or
there.
Timmy Hortons. All right. So you always wanted to be a criminal law defense attorney. Were you ever a DA or?
I was.
Okay.
I actually did an unusual track in that after law school, I opened up my own practice doing defense work.
Wow.
And 8 years later, got contacted by the city attorney's office in LA to be a prosecutor, and they hired me.
Wow.
I planned on doing it for a couple of years while my kids were young, and that turned into a 9-year career there.
Wow. Did you like being on the other side, the prosecutorial side?
I loved it. Number one, as a defense attorney, I knew where the prior defense attorney knew where they were going to go with their case, so that made me a better prosecutor. And I knew that I was going to go back to helping people, and therefore knowing how the prosecutor works makes it so much better to be a defense attorney.
Wow.
You can really help your clients, with doing things that aren't normally done by other criminal defense lawyers, like being able to get into the DA's office to discuss a case before it's even filed. Mm-hmm. That's the time you can do some really good work.
That's great, David. Now, I'm going to ask you the question that I ask every criminal defense attorney that walks in the door. I'm sorry, it's required because the viewers command it.
I love it.
How do you defend guilty people?
It's not my job to determine guilt or innocence. That's the judge and jury.
All right.
My job is to make sure, number one, that the government, if they've done everything correctly, if they've done things incorrectly, then that's where the client gets the benefit of those violations. So guilt is irrelevant to me. And it's also like steering a boat. The prosecution starts out way over here, the defense may start out here, and in the middle is where the case really should be. So there's lots of things, what we call over-filing of the case, because they know they want to plead it down to something. So there's often negotiations as to whether what the offer should be and what my client will accept.
Okay.
The scariest clients I have are the ones that are innocent. They are really, I lose sleep over that because I deal with freedom, not money. So you can't make back the day of freedom that you serve in jail. So it's really something that I try and focus on, using the skills that I got as a former prosecutor.
And me, as a former federal prosecutor, I know that, there's kind of an ego-centric type of thing in a lot of prosecutors' offices. They never lost a case. They always win. And a lot of it is because they can charge what they want to charge.
Correct.
And so sometimes they only charge stuff that they can prove. But the other part of it is that you get in this kind of machine where the police bring you a case and you want to make sure that you get the convicted no matter what, and you justify it sometimes by saying, hey, listen, he's probably guilty of something.
Right.
But it really is a serious problem, and I understand what you're talking about as far as innocent people, because a lot of times they get railroaded, right?
Right, and not just innocent people, but there are certain jurisdictions, such as Ventura County, that you don't want to get caught in because they are so oppressive. They don't plea bargain, so you're forced to, on a .08 DUI, go to trial or plead guilty. And other jurisdictions allow people to actually handle cases in an individual matter, not more on an assembly line.
Now, when we first talked about you doing this, and again, I really appreciate you being here because you're a super busy person, but we talked about kind of the typical illegal search and seizure type thing, which is like, someone searches your car. I mean, the cop shoots a car, they search your house without a warrant. But you were mentioning, as we got ready for today, that a big issue coming up is search and seizure relating to cell phones.
Absolutely.
Right? When does that come up?
That comes up anytime. The police now are taught that if you have a cell phone on you, like right here, they're going to want to look in your cell phone to see what texts you've gotten, what photos you have, because you may have a photo of somebody underage that maybe shouldn't be there. They want to see who your contacts are, and that can be for a lot of the drug cases, the sales, and all that. But it can be on any case, and they want to get into that phone. The Supreme Court, which the United States Supreme Court ruled that they can't do that without a warrant or your consent. And the thing that people don't realize is if you put on your phone your fingerprint so that you can open it that way, the government can take your finger, put it on there, and now open your phone, because that is not testimonial. They can't demand that you give them your passcode, though.
Now, when would this come up for a phone? Would it come up in a DUI stop, or is it more like you've been arrested and they say, please give me your phone and open it for us?
Yeah, it's usually not on a DUI stop. It's on other crimes that are usually a little bit more serious, where they have individuals involved and they want to find out what's been going on in your phone. And believe me, people keep so much stuff on their phone. When the Fourth Amendment was originally, it was one of the Bill of Rights. I mean, this is a biggie, to protect your houses and homes and persons from illegal search and seizure that is unreasonable or warrantless. They were just protecting a little cottage back in the 1700s. You have more information in your cell phone than they ever contemplated. People keep all their financial stuff, all their contacts, everything in that one cell phone. So it should be protected, and people should understand you do not have to consent, by the way, to a search at all, ever. Ever.
Now, the police need probable cause to do a search or to enter a car or a phone or access a house. What is the thought about in the future? We have marijuana. Now marijuana is legal in California. And so what I'm worried about is that cops may say, I have probable cause to search your vehicle because I have a suspicion that you're on marijuana.
Well, it's an interesting issue, because being on marijuana or under the influence technically is not illegal. And so the old officers, the way it would play out, I smelled burnt or fresh marijuana, and therefore I searched the car. Well, who cares if they smell it now?
It's legal now.
It's legal. It's just not legal to drive under the influence of it. And that's where search and seizure also plays into DUIs. The officers have to have probable cause to pull you over. And in order to effectively get over that hurdle, now cars have these mobile video audio recording system, MVARs. And so I get the video, and I get to see the officer who said that my client was weaving, swerving, that they're not, that they may be weaving within the lane, but never crossing over, no vehicle code violations. And I can do a motion to suppress the whole case based on that observation and a motion to suppress. So that's the Fourth Amendment also plays into stopping people.
We have a comment again from Katerina. She's a diligent viewer. Thank you, Katerina, for watching. It says marijuana will be legal in Canada in a few months too. I didn't know that. So
they are working on it. And again, here it's adult use marijuana. You're still illegal if you're underage and whatnot, but the more states that approve it, the more chance the federal government will However, DUIs are not going to go away. That the police do not like this law. And therefore, if they smell marijuana in your car, they may try and arrest you. And that's where, you don't have to say anything. They're going to want to know when you smoked it, how recently, etc. Don't answer any questions. You don't have to.
Well, that kind of leads me into what we're going to talk about now, and that is giving you a hypothetical.
Okay.
And that is, you're driving your vehicle, and you're pulled over by the police, and the cop is approaching your window right there. What is the first thing that you do in that situation?
Put your 2 hands on the steering wheel and don't move.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
because police officers, reality,
Jumpy?
Well, they're jumpy
Yeah.
because a lot of them, the attacks on police officers happen on simple traffic stops. They do not know if you're a violent felon in the car or just a normal everyday Joe. So first thing is to keep your hands, then to be polite. I recommend that everybody keep their registration and insurance in a separate little envelope somewhere very accessible.
Okay.
Because you don't want to have to be opening up your glove compartment because somehow the police officer may want to help you get your your insurance or whatever's in there, and now they're searching.
I see.
So there are tricky. They know how to get into your car.
Is that some sort of waiver? Would you say when you open your glove compartment?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
the case law has said that
Okay.
they don't know if you have a gun in there, so logically they don't have the take the chance that you might, and they'll reach in that glove compartment. And if you don't consent to certain things, the officer may yell at you and everything, but that's out in the field. Once we get into court, that's where we are allowed to attack those actions by the police officers. That's our bailiwick.
So I've always thought, let's say you put both hands on the wheel, the officer approaches you. What do you refuse to talk? Do you be polite with the officer? Do you divulge everything that's gone on in the past 24 hours?
No, you're just polite to the officer. You talk as little as possible because one of the things they're trying to smell is alcohol on your breath or marijuana, whatever. So all you have to do is really give them your license, registration, insurance information, and that's it. You don't have to answer any questions about when were you last drinking, what else was going on. Do not answer those questions.
I've heard that said before, do not answer, but when you're actually in it, because I've been there, pulled over, it's do you say, officer, I refuse to answer, or how do you do it in a way that they're not going to get pissed off at you?
It's like on my business card where it says rule number 3.
Okay.
Politely tell the officer you don't want to talk without your attorney present.
Okay.
And that's fine. That way you're not upsetting them. But also the Supreme Court said that you can't just sit there and be quiet. That is not invocation of your Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. You have to say, I don't want to talk to you.
Okay. Got a really good question from Fox of the Fire. Is it illegal to record cops when they pull you over? We see these things on Facebook and also YouTube all the time where they're recording the cop as he's talking. Is that legal?
Yes, absolutely. And they don't like it.
No, they don't.
Because now although I've got to tell you, now with body-worn cameras, and I just spent an hour and a half yesterday watching videos on a domestic violence case of these officers. It's great because it's like being there.
Yeah.
And so you get to hear exactly what they say, how they're acting, and to me it's something, the only thing I don't like is certain jurisdictions are allowed to turn the sound on and off, and that troubles me.
Okay. Why does that trouble you?
Because I want to hear everything. I have a case involving a young man accused of assaulting an officer, and the sound doesn't go on until he's down. The officer has him on the ground, but I want to hear what was said between the two of them. So I think that video and cameras are going to help us. Listen, it helps if I show my client you're very guilty, and maybe we need to resolve this. Or I can show the DA that they don't have a case.
Well, the other part, too, is if you are recording the officer, they're more likely to toe the line, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
They should. And there are also people, there was a case in Ventura County where they audio recorded the officer. And audio recording, you have to make it sort of obvious you're doing it. You're not allowed to secretly record.
Okay. Do you have to state it? I am recording?
No.
Okay.
Just if you have your phone out.
Okay.
That's enough.
That's enough.
And this officer had told the young man that he would bet him $100 he could guess his blood alcohol level. And the kid didn't believe him, and he said he didn't have any money, and the cop said there's a ATM right over there. And this is all on and the officer denied it until the video, the audio came out of him actually doing that. So weird stuff happens out there.
Yeah,
and I love tapes. So yeah, I encourage people.
Would you?
Even if you call somebody or have them on your speakerphone.
Wow.
You're getting pulled over. Call a friend. Call Ian.
Wow.
Call my office. So somebody's listening.
Wow. Hi, Pauline. Just want to say hi. How are you? Well, so you would you? I mean, does it make sense to make it a rule then that when you get pulled over, you pull this thing out and you're just like, okay, officer, yes, I will cooperate.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have no problem with that.
Okay.
And then if the officer makes you put it away or anything, who looks like they're hiding something?
The officer does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Any other advice? Oh, a lot of questions we get in the criminal law defense area is DUIs.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say, God forbid, you are at Stonehouse and you had, a couple glasses of wine and you decide to drive home. Probably not the best decision to do. But you're heading home to Ventura County and you get pulled over.
Right.
Is there could you describe what you would do in that situation as opposed to what we already talked about? Or?
Well, you would, number one, hope that you hadn't crossed into Ventura County yet, because the whole thing changes once you do that. But the sheriffs do what we call cherry pick. They sit outside Stonehouse and any other, bar or club, because they know at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, people leaving there probably have had some alcohol.
Yes.
So the best thing to do if you are pulled over is to not say anything, hand them your information, and you do not need to do field sobriety tests.
Okay, you can refuse those.
You can refuse those, and you don't have to take the preliminary alcohol screening, which is a test done out in the field, unless you're under 21 or on probation for a DUI. So why give them more evidence?
Yes.
Field sobriety tests are called roadside gymnastics for a reason. Nobody can do them successfully. They will state in a hearing that there is no pass-fail. Yeah, there's only fail.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's what I recommend. And I recommend that if you are drinking, plan ahead. When I started in 1979, I told people a 4-letter word would keep you from needing me. That's TAXI. Now you have UBER, LYFT, and for the young men out there, the most impressive, LIMO. They are all cheaper than a DUI.
Now, we talked a little bit about marijuana, especially since it's going to be legal in Canada coming up. Is there a test out there that the cops have that can say you're under the influence and therefore you're liable or you're guilty of a DUI?
Not yet. Colorado has enacted a 9 nanograms, which is a number they pick out of the air. California and San Diego, they are doing tests now to try and get that same level, but they're having trouble. There are no correlation studies like there are in alcohol that show that everybody at a point 0.9 nanograms is going to be under the influence, unable to safely operate a motor vehicle, which is the standard. So that the Spicoli type is what the example I use can smoke away Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and not be as affected as somebody who doesn't smoke and has just one hit. So I really don't think the numbers are valid.
We got another question from Chris. Hey Chris, how you doing? It says, is there a difference between an alcohol DUI and a marijuana DUI? And I think what he's talking about as far as sentencing, as far as prosecution, that kind of stuff.
They're pretty much, and this is how draconian the government can be. If you get convicted of a marijuana DUI or any prescription drug DUI, or even an illegal drug DUI, you have to go to alcohol program. Okay? Now, these are generally people that don't drink. They're smoking pot for a reason. Which is why sometimes it's okay to maybe have 1 beer, so you have that 0.02 in your system, and they won't have the ability to ask you for a blood test to see if THC is present also. So, it's a interesting area that's constantly changing.
We're moving into the situation where, gosh, you're taken up by a cop and you're arrested and you're be taken to the station. Do you have any tips for people, unfortunately, who have been arrested, what they do from that point on?
They, again, keep silent.
Okay.
Don't say anything. Cooperate, however. And if a detective comes into your jail cell, which means you're probably looking at a felony or a domestic violence misdemeanor, you absolutely don't want to talk with them. Nothing you say is going to get you out of those bars.
Okay.
You wait until you get to court or contact a bail bondsman right away.
Okay. Excellent. Well, we've come, believe it or not, we went so quick, to the end of our time. I know. It's almost 20 minutes. You know, if the viewers out there have more questions about criminal defense law, criminal law in general, where can they reach you?
They can email me at David, D-A-V-I-D, at KESTENBAUMLawGroup.com, the common spelling, and or call me at 818-616-4312. I love answering questions from the public and from other lawyers that don't really understand certain areas of law yet.
Awesome. And just for the viewers' knowledge, I also put all of David's links in the description section below. So if you didn't get it down when we just took it, yeah, feel free to grab it from there. As usual, I want to say, listen, if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.
And if you want more straight talk on the law, please subscribe to the Heart of the Matter YouTube channel and hit that bell, and you'll be notified every Wednesday when a new Heart of the Matter video comes out. David, you're a super busy man. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it. And we will see you next time.
All right. Be safe out there.
Woo! Thank you. Bye. Okay. Bye.